Hi there. Let's talk about this number right here. This is how much debt I have.
I owe about $150,000 in student loans.
That is so much. And I'm paying for it. It's not like my parents are paying for it. I'm paying for it.
So I got to get a glimpse of my student loan balance for the first time in, I don't know, presumably a year. I almost shit a brick, but my balance was like right around $125,000.
Between myself and my children, I owe $211,000 in student loan debt.
Just found out that my estimated student loan debt payoff is in the year 2049.
Welcome to Real Talk, a channel dedicated to capturing the raw, unfiltered perspectives from everyday people. No commentary, no interruptions, just real people sharing their frustrations and opinion about the economy. My goal is simple: provide a space where you can hear authentic rants, opinions, and stories from all walks of life. So make sure to like and subscribe and enjoy the rest of the video.
Hi there. Let's talk about this number right here. This is how much debt I have. I'm about $180,000 in debt from both federal and private student loans, my car loan, credit cards. That is all of my debt. I am 24 years old. I have a bachelor degree, so not even a master's. I have one minor, no focus in my major, as well as an honors degree, which did require some extra credits. So that is where this number is coming from. This is on top of the little amount of scholarships that I was awarded, so money I didn't have to pay back. This is everything I owe. Everything I owe. I came out of college in June of 2024, and I did not look at the debt that I was accruing. I took out loans as I needed them each year for college, and I didn't really think about what the percentages meant because I was never taught financial literacy. I didn't think about what the realistic number was going to be that I would have to owe each month on these loans, and they are astronomical, I will say. Sally Mae, which is my private loan creditor, wants $1,800 a month from me. That's just Sally Mae. I am right now in a grace period for 12 months where I only have to pay $1,033 to Sally Mae. I would not be able to afford the $1,800 a month if I wasn't able to get it down for 12 months. I don't know what I'm going to do in 11 months, but this is just me talking about it. On top of that, I owe about $287 to the federal government per month. That's not changing. And I owe $202 for my car payment, and that's not even including the $150 or $60 that I owe each month for the car insurance or my credit card payments. That doesn't include any of that. So, alone, Sally Mae wants $1,800 from me. I graduated college, as I just mentioned, in June of 2024, so this last year, and I wanted to just have a nice summer because I have been doing school for the last 5 years, and I've been taking summer courses full-time every year, and as well as working full-time. So this is also like the debt I have, and I was working full-time during the summers, and I was working part-time during the school years, so that's all, like, I still had no money, and I had to take out loans. So, being 23 years old, almost 24 when I graduated, I decided that I was just going to get a part-time job so that way I could only work part-time during the summer and kind of enjoy the summer because I had been doing over full-time in schools and working and had a role in my sorority, and I decided that I was just going to work part-time. And if I had looked at my loans fresh out of college, which I highly recommend you do if you have loans, do not wait until they are due to start looking at them. I decided to do that and made barely any money, but I didn't have any loan payments at the time during the summer. And I wish that I had started making the payments as soon as possible on those loans while I had them. So I worked part-time. Around November, my best friend was like, hey, I have loans. You have loans. Have you looked at what your loan payments are going to be? And I was like, shh, can't be that bad, right? Wrong. I looked at my loan payments and I cried. Because I was not taught financial literacy. And I didn't understand how a credit company for student loans could charge me $1,800 if I wasn't making that much. I thought, okay, there must be something similar to the federal aid where you can do it based on income. No, they don't offer that. So I would also look into that before you take out student loans if they're going to offer income based or anything. They don't offer that. The best I could do was bring it down to $1,000. And then I was struggling to find a full-time job. I applied for like 3 months to over probably 500 jobs before I finally found one. This is the catch, that doesn't even require my degree. I found a job that paid $20 an hour, 40 hours a week, and it was degree recommended, not required. So I felt very grateful for that opportunity. I just don't understand why companies and jobs want you to have stepping stones, but don't consider your degree to be the stepping stones or the foundation for working for those companies. And they want to pay less money for more years of experience. It doesn't make sense. It's really hard to find a job right now, like really, really hard. Anyway, flash forward, I'm doing this and I'm able to make my bare minimum payments, but that doesn't matter because in 12 months, I'm still going to owe $1,800 bare minimum on the Sallie Mae loans, and I cannot afford that. And I make $41,600 a year before taxes. Now, flash forward, I'm at this job for a couple months and I start to struggle really badly with my mental health. I'm talking like can't get out of bed except to go to work, really struggling, losing passion for everything, falling into a mix of, I would say, seasonal depression because it's winter and I struggle with that a lot, and also depression because my life is not going the way that I want it to go. And that is a hard thing to grasp. And also, debt is really hard. It's a hard thing, and like a lot of people struggle with it, so it's not just me coming on here. Like I'm very grateful and I am privileged, and there's a lot of things that are going well in my life, but like that debt is still looming over my head, and that is a real thing. I decided that this job was not worth staying at any longer because of how much it was impacting my mental health. I was crashing out all the time and I really tried to stick it out, but I was just really starting to see no purpose in my life, even though it was helping me make those bare minimum payments. I have since put in my 2 weeks and I'm going back to 2 part-time jobs that I've calculated out will make the same amount of money I make at this full-time job that I supposedly got with my degree. So I'm still going to make $41,600 and be able to make my bare minimum payments. But I am really worried about what I'm going to do in 11 months when I have to owe $1,800 just on Sallie Mae. I am putting this out there as like kind of a way to warn people about looking into what your loans look like. Teach yourself financial literacy, but I'm also putting this out there to ask, what's the best case scenario? I don't really know what to do, and I've been trying to do research. I don't want to get sued by Sallie Mae. It's hard to find a job. I don't really want people coming out here being like, well, just go find a higher paying job. You were silly to drop down to 2 part-time jobs. That is not the advice I'm looking for. I'm looking for a best way to knock out my loans and start paying them off faster with what I have. I'm making the bare minimum payments and a little bit more, and that's basically all of my income, and I'm looking for other ways to make extra money. So if I have to start door dashing as well, I'm going to go back to a job where I'll also be making tips. All of that's going to go towards it. What is the best way? Should I attack the ones that are high interest first? Should I go after the ones that are the smallest? Like, I'm genuinely curious, best way to knock out these loans, because I'm trying to be debt free. There was a time in my life where all I wanted was to make a ton of money. I don't care. Financial freedom to me looks like being debt free. I would love, and I'm not saying this is possible, but I don't think it's impossible either. I would love to be out of debt by the time I'm 30. That's 6 years from now. I have a lot of debt. I don't know how possible that is, but I would have to put all my money towards it. I've not made good financial choices. Like, I'm literally going on a trip in April. Like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or that, but that's aside the case. That is aside the case. The point is, I can make the bare minimum right now, and I know that I could make more if I need to. Despite going on this trip in April, we don't need to talk about that. I'm still making choices, but I want to find out a way that I can get out of debt. I'm trying to find all these extra ways to make money. I'm going to keep probably eventually in the future apply to jobs, but it's just, this is the reality of it. It's just like, it's not like I'm magically going to make more money to pay off this debt. I am where I'm at. So I don't know. I'm looking for help, and I'm also trying to give some advice, but you should really educate yourself on financial literacy before you decide to take out loans. And if you have the opportunity to go to community college before going to a university, I would highly recommend doing that to save yourself as much money as possible. Because at the end of the day, as fun as the memories were, and I'm so grateful for my friends and the people I met, and they are obviously priceless. Knowing what I know now, I don't know if I would ever put myself in that position to let myself get into $180,000 worth of debt over school. So, my credit's also shit, by the way, because of all the loans I've had to take out. So, that is my story, and yeah, I just kind of came here to talk about it. I feel like it's important to talk about, and a lot of times I think we're kind of ashamed of it, but that's really it.
So yeah, I made a video about me owing student loans, right? I owe about $150,000 in student loans. I got 2 degrees. I got a bachelor's in biology and I got a master's in secondary education with an endorsement in clinical mental health counseling, right? I said, so y'all mean to tell me y'all gonna garnish my check? I'm trolling, right? I made that video last night. I never knew it was so many negative people that would comment on that video. I feel like my video reached the wrong side of TikTok. Like, just laugh. I'm not mad about it. I haven't paid these years in over 4 years. After I graduated in 2020. You think I'm worried about it now? If they get it, they get it, don't. I ain't working in my degree because I put my kids first. I got a job that's going to accommodate my kids' schedule. But I was trolling. I thought it was funny. Like, I'm not mad about it. If you paid your student loan, kudos to you. You want a cookie? And to be honest, I feel like most of y'all that paid y'all student loans use y'all social media money. Y'all not taking no money out y'all worksheet to pay these doggone loans back. The interest on these loans ain't nothing but probably 7% or less. I'll pay my credit card out before I pay a doggone student loan. It'll get paid when it get paid. They in the firm, I think I'm good. But y'all too serious in the comments. Like, I don't even turn my comments off. I don't want to turn these off because y'all really doing too much. They talking about you people. Who is you people? You been the R word now. I don't like them type of people. If you are, please get out of my page. Block me. Scroll back. You ain't got to comment. Then they talking about you ain't take an English class. Baby, I'm in the South. This how I talk. I know how to talk. I don't try to come on here talking proper. But I just came to speak my piece. I'm eating my hot wings. They good as hell.
So I just got my bill for 1 semester of college. $8,000. Why am I paying $8,000? I don't understand. That is so much. And I'm paying for it. It's not like my parents are paying for it. I'm paying for it. I don't have $8,000 to just spend for 1 semester. What? Like, literally, what do you do? Like, no way I'm taking out a loan for all that. How am I even gonna pay that out? I don't even know how to take out a loan. I'm just trying to be a nurse, okay? Wow. That's all. Wow.
Last night I had to log into my student loan account to print out the paperwork to have my taxes done today. So I got to get a glimpse of my student loan balance for the first time in, I don't know, presumably a year. I honestly don't remember knowing what I owed still. Now, for a point of reference, I graduated in 2011. Okay, so I've been making student loan payments for almost 14 years. I actually did the math. It was about 165 monthly student loan payments that I've made so far. Okay, now I went to pharmacy school. I'm a pharmacist. That's a doctorate degree. It took 6 years. I went to a private school, not because I wanted to, but at the time, there were only 6 schools in the state of Pennsylvania with a pharmacy program. 2 of them were state schools, 4 of them were private. Chose the school I chose because they gave me a $12,000 a year academic scholarship for the first 4 years. So I got $48,000 worth of academic scholarship. So that's why I chose that school. So my education, even with the scholarship, cost still like $250,000, roughly. Now, I'm fortunate my parents paid for a really good chunk of that, over $100,000. I don't remember the exact numbers, honestly, of how it all washed out. But I do know when I got my first student loan bill in the mail, well, I almost shit a brick, but my balance was like right around $125,000. Okay, 165 monthly payments on $125,000. How much do you think I still owe? $78,000. Yeah, I don't know. The math isn't mathing. Now, full disclosure, I did refinance at some point, which is a horrible idea. Like, at the time, it seems like a good idea because the monthly payments are so, like, overwhelming. But in the long run, you're screwing yourself when you refinance a student loan. You just are. So, 165 monthly payments. I never deferred it. I never missed the payment. And I still owe $78,000. And I've been out of school for 14 years. My oldest turns 10 next week. So realistically, if she decides to go to college, I'm going to be still paying my student loans and likely still owe like $30-some thousand on my student loans when I'm trying to figure out how to pay for her college. And I don't know what the solution is to this whole situation. I don't think loan forgiveness is fair. I don't think taxpayers who didn't go to college should have to have their tax money pay off the student loans for those who did choose to go to college. I don't think that's fair at all. But I do think something needs to be done because universities are charging like obscene tuition. Student loan companies are doing predatory lending to children and setting up people for like a lifetime of debt. Like, you're starting out your adult life with like crippling debt. And I don't know what the solution is here, but something isn't working.
And the bottom of my casket will have a file cabinet for all these student loans to rest in heavenly peace. That's how much I owe in student loans. How much money I owe in student loans. Now let me provide you with some additional information, since I know that this video is going to go viral because people are cruel and a lot of people are going to be ready to attack me in the comments and judge me and do whatever they got to do to feel good about themselves. I am a proud 25-year-old with over $100,000 in student loan debt. I went to school. I got a free associate degree through the early college program. I then furthered my education and got 2 additional degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship with a minor in management, and I have a master's degree in organizational leadership. But one thing America doesn't know about me is that I have 1 additional degree that's not on file and it's not in the records anywhere, and that's a law degree. At any given point, I'm prepared to take the stand and explain why I cannot afford to pay a dime on them student loans. Baby, you ain't never seen a sharp, undegreed attorney like me ever in your life. It's my time to shine.
I'd like to know what type of crack Sally Mae is smoking that they think for the amount of $40,922 they should receive back $118,305.59. Well, I understand that this is an estimated cost. The fact that for financing the money, they want $77,383.59 is asinine. Now, back in my day when I was in college, I don't even think I paid that much for the 4 years I went to school. So to think they should get that for 1 year of schooling is insane. And I get it. If this is the fixed interest rate, 13.500%, and then the APR is 13.474%. But then they got the audacity to tell me that to finance this $40,922, they should receive $77,303.59 is the most SMD.
Just found out that my estimated student loan debt payoff is in the year 2049. 2049. Do I have my fiance start planning my funeral today or tomorrow?
I owe $103,000 in student loan debts. I think the government took advantage of me. I didn't know any better. I was a first-generation graduate, grew up in a small town, poor town, used to shop at the dollar store for clothes. I didn't understand the ramifications of borrowing money from the government and had no one to explain it to me. Reading a document wasn't enough because I didn't make that connection that I needed of how serious it was, borrowing money from the government. I literally thought, oh my God, I'll be making $30-some thousand as a teacher. I can afford to pay that off. Nobody told me that $30,000 wasn't a lot of money. It's because the people I grew up with didn't even make that. So to them, that was a lot of money. Man, the system failed us. So no, I'm not going to pay them back. You took advantage of me. Now that last $23,000, I'll pay that back because I knew better then. I knew what I was doing. So I'll pay that back. But the other $83,000, nah, y'all took advantage of me. So I don't know where you're going to get it from, but you ain't going to get it from me. No, sir.
So our loan officer came back and said, LOJK, for the amount that we are approved for getting a house, and lowered it by $50,000 because of our student loans. So the number really wasn't an issue at first, but now that everything happening with student loans and everything, we'll have to start making payments on them in February for my husband and March for me. So our loan officer was like, LOL, nah, dog, we're not approving y'all for that amount. So let me show y'all these numbers. So this is my husband's, $35,108, and this is mine, $121,264. So of course, we're obviously bummed out. I think I'm more so bummed out because I just feel like I am just kind of stuck in this financial hole, and I know that the path for me was to open my practice and right out of school and yada yada yada. But it's just kind of like, I'll look at my friends and how they started working right out of school. And I'm like, if I just started working right out of school, we'd be definitely in a different financial spot than where we are. But, I can't compare. But, it's heavy. It's heavy because I'm working really, really hard at this practice. If you've ever started a business, you work the hardest, but at the beginning stages, you definitely make as if you're not working at all. So this year I am going to work really hard with social media, and I'm going to use all of the money that we make from social media and put it directly towards our loans. So I will share that process of how we get everything broken down and just how much we're putting towards the loans and how much I'll make every month off social media. And I just hope that, this is just the year that social media just takes off, even though TikTok might go away. I don't know. I really don't know, but that's where we're at. So, that's what we're just going to have to do. Unless 135,000 people Venmoed me $1 to put towards these loans, I got to get in my bag and get to recording some content.
Hey, so this is probably the most vulnerable post I will have ever made in the history of time. And for those of you who this little blue halo is already triggering you, I'm so sorry. But I'm going to hopefully make you feel better. And I'm honestly having a weekly crash out. I need help from you as well. This is how much money I owe in student debt for my physician assistant degree. And before you go ahead and take out the phrase that is so commonly used, oh, but you knew how much you were taking out in the beginning. No, a lot of this has to do with interest alone accruing, while I am in a hell of a limbo of what we like to call administrative forbearance, trying to get into the SAVE plan. So I worked with a student loan counselor after I graduated, and I was told to consolidate all of my Direct Plus grad student loans to be one loan so that I could apply to the SAVE repayment plan. Right as soon as I started and submitted my application was when all the chaos happened in the courts, where they just can't get their head out of their ass and figure out what they're doing. And so I never actually got into the SAVE plan. And so I have been accruing interest at a 7% rate. I've not had to pay my monthly payment. My monthly payment has been $0 because of a previous tax return when I was making $0 income as a student. But still, this amount is a literal noose around my neck. And I don't think I will ever pay this off. I fear that I will not be able to ever own a home as someone still earning 6 figures salary.
let alone children. I would love and aspire to have a child someday, but this really, really, I don't want to say like makes me suicidal, but like it truly makes it really hard to get out of bed every morning. And I know I'm not alone. I know I don't even have it that bad, but I'm truly asking as a cry for help, like how you compartmentalize the stress of something like this, knowing that you'll never, ever get out of debt, because it would take an act of God to take this amount away. And people repay the principal loan multiple times over in situations like me, but they never get rid of their debt because of the system at hand. And that is what is so fucked about student loans for people in advanced degrees like doctor, nurse, anesthetist, nurse practitioner, physician assistant. What else can I think of? Any degree program that takes multiple loans and at least 6 figures to take out to go to these programs. And I did this to get a better life for myself, get a salary that actually amounted to something for my future family. And yet this is what happened. And a lot of it wasn't even the fault of my own, because I had no way of predicting that this would happen. I had no way of knowing that SAVE would not be around in the future. PSLF is my only option. I do work at a 501c3, but even then, the payment is like pushing almost $1,000 a month, and that will soon become even unaffordable for me. So yeah, I'm literally at a loss.
I have $140,000 in student debt, and I'm not stressed about it. So let's talk about it. And I'll show you my favorite everyday makeup look. The first thing is from Merit. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. I have 2 sets of student loans. So I have the federal loans that most people have, and then I also have private loans. So lucky me. This is the Milk Contour Stick. I really like this because I'm trying to do clean beauty. When I said I wasn't stressed, that was kind of a lie. I just think it's so crazy how we are signing kids up who are 18 years old with $140,000 of student debt before they really realize like how much money that is and how much it's gonna take to pay that off. I went to a private school in Connecticut, and I did that because I was in a 3+1 program, so I basically got 2 degrees for the price of 1 degree. I still got to finish at the same time as all of my friends who were just getting their bachelor's. At the time, I thought going to the private school because of the program was a really good option for me financially. But I definitely didn't realize how much $140,000 really is, or else I probably wouldn't have done it. But I've been paying off my loans since I was a freshman, yes, a freshman in college. So I kind of want to tell you what my plan is, how I'm doing it, and how I'm trying to get rid of these as quickly as possible. I am 24 and I didn't move out of my childhood home until I was 24. I stayed home for 2 years after school and basically was able to put all the money I was making towards my student debt, and honestly, I didn't save, which I definitely don't recommend. Definitely put some savings aside. I kind of learned that the hard way. When I moved out, I kind of realized just how hard it is to pay rent and get your own groceries and basically be an adult and have this looming student debt over your head. It's really hard, honestly, to look at my friends who are getting married and buying houses, and just knowing that I'm extremely responsible and I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't do that, and it's not going to happen for quite a while. Essentially, what I do every single month is I put 1 paycheck towards my student debt, and then I do 1 paycheck towards my rent, utilities, groceries, and I kind of try to save just whatever little is left that I can. I know it's really hard for some people to put a full paycheck towards their student debt, but I would really recommend it if you can. I honestly just have it taken out right away, and it's like it never even hit my bank account. So I'm definitely pressed for money, unlike my other friends, but I'm really learning like how to be responsible with money, which, you know, I wish I learned when I was 18. For anyone who is starting their payments now for the federal loans, I really recommend putting more than what's due towards it so you can pay down the principal, because that's the thing that's going to get you, because you're just going to be paying interest over time when you could have brought that down a lot earlier. Don't get me wrong, it's really, really hard to have to say no to things, and I definitely feel a lot of anxiety over it that not a lot of my friends, well, actually none of my friends understand. This Merit blush is quite literally my favorite blush ever. I have the Rare Beauty one, and this is incredible. It's also very hard knowing that I'm responsible with my money. I'm paying so much more than I need to be paying towards my student debt every single month, and just knowing that I'm not going to be able to buy a house for a while is something that's been causing me a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. I also just think that it is the most wild thing that schools cost as much as they do these days. Even state schools are extremely expensive. I truly don't understand how taking 5 to 7 classes a semester is gonna cost $69,000 a year. I have no idea how to do this on the camera. For some context, I got my parents to co-sign on my private loan, which was the most amount of money, but I refinanced and they are completely off of it. So just know there are people doing it alone without the help of their parents, because I know it can feel really, really lonely sometimes. This is like my favorite product in my entire makeup bag. I just think it's so cute. I have to buy or lease a new car soon, and it's just really hard because I really wanted to buy out my car, but I don't really want to add another $20,000-$30,000 of debt on top of this looming student debt that's just right here all the time. This is the everyday makeup look. I need to do something with this greasy hair, but this is kind of what happens every day. I feel like this entire video is just to say you don't need to feel alone in the fact that you have a ton of student debt, and maybe your friends, they have parents that can pay for it, or they have other ways to pay for it. You are not the only one who has a ton of student debt, and you will get through it. Trust me, my biggest advice to you and my biggest advice to myself is just put as much as you can towards your student debt every single month, but make sure you have some savings, because that's something that I'm definitely working on, is building my savings, but just making sure that I'm absolutely obliterating my student debt as fast as possible.
I owe over $300,000 in student loans. Let me tell you how. So I'm a nurse practitioner. My husband is a pharmacist. My husband went to private school for his entire pharmacy school. I went to a public university for my nursing degree, and then a private school for my nurse practitioner degree. We both took out student loans for everything. You know, at 18, you think you're going to be able to pay everything back because both of those jobs make good money. So why am I complaining? This economy is just so expensive right now. I know it's our fault, I guess, for taking out all these loans, but I would love to be able to pay them off. So here I am on TikTok working to have extra income. So I would love if you follow me along on this journey to paying off our loans and just, you know, living life the best we can in the current circumstances. So tell me how much you owe in student loans and if you regret it.
So asking if Harvard Law was worth all of the debt that I'm in now is a tough question. On one hand, I picked Harvard because I knew it was a very low risk option. If you go to Harvard Law, then you're almost guaranteed to get a job that pays well. And so for me, I didn't know how well I'd do in law school, and I wanted to go to a school that I knew I could get a job no matter how I did. But on the other hand, if I had taken, a scholarship at a lower ranked school and done as well as I did at Harvard, then I still would have gotten the same big lot job. So when you're considering where to go to college or where to go to law school, you really do need to think about the finances and figure out what makes sense for you. For me, I'm happy with my decision to go to Harvard, but at the same time, it's going to be really hard for me to pay off these loans, even with the salary that I received.